Hello, Wanderers. Welcome. Welcome. Is that you or is that me?
That might have been me. I was like, maybe my volume isn't all the way. Oh, that's
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soul Wanderings. We are so happy to have you here this evening. As always, we are here bringing a new topic to share with all of you. But first, if you are new to our show, we've been doing this for a while now. You can learn more about us and what we've been up to at soulwanderings.com during the day or sometimes the night. It just depends, I would say. But what we do for our passion and purpose is hold space for others to heal. Natalie focuses on grief. I like to focus on uh, helping people get through trauma and self love, regulating their nervous system, all that good stuff. And we do that in a place called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. You can learn more about that at vibesnow.com. We have some really amazing things taking place there. So if you're not familiar and if you are local to the northern Utah area, that is where we are at. Uh, but yeah, Soul Wanderings, we get to do this and it's really exciting.
it definitely is.
Yeah, super grateful. So every week we pick a new topic, or you guys pick a topic for the following week show, and we dive into it. So this week we are going to be discussing ghosts, echoes, and imprints. It came from your request of haunted places and residual energy. So that's going to be a good show. I had some local books, like local author books, of people who've written about hauntings and some haunted history here where we are from. We have a plethora of places that are supposedly haunted or have like tangible residual energy. And I wanted to bring that and left it on my kitchen table. So we'll just go off this. We'll wish us the best of luck. But we all have stories, right, you guys? So
Yeah.
that's the cool thing is like we walked into places and we've immediately felt uneasy or we've sensed a presence or experienced something that we couldn't explain. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But first, what's up with you, Miss Natalie?
Oh, well, I don't always have time where I spend like a few hours at my house on, regular work days. But today I had one of those where I didn't have clients except for a phone session. So I got to work from home today and I was watching the magpies in my backyard. I put this bowl of water out because I had a bird bath that is cement that broke through so it doesn't hold water. But I just put a nice bowl on top of that bird bath and the magpies were making use of it because it's a little bit hot out here today.
Mhm.
Not as hot as some people that are listening, but for us it's warm up there. So it's fun to watch the birds play out my back window and the magpies taking a bath. There's nothing like watching a bird just splash around in water. It's just joyful to watch them do that. So I had that opportunity. I'm doing good. Like,
Good.
yeah, tracking. Little time off. I recognize that I could probably benefit by a little bit more of that. And then not too much because then I would be antsy because I'll get that way too. You always got to be doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind time off and a lot of it. Like, please sign me up for some of that.
Yeah.
I'm my own boss and I don't schedule my time off.
That's what I say to people all the time. I'm just like, my boss, she is such a hardcore slave master.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk with that
definitely.
lady
Yeah, you better get on it.
better. How are you doing?
I'm groovy.
Groovy.
You know,
Fantastic.
life has been lifing and I'm just, day by day. Here we go. All things considered, I'm very blessed and grateful for the life I have. So, what do you say?
Well, I mean, that's
That's
what you say. It's like it's the ability to navigate, and you are a navigator. You are always working on figuring it out and experimenting and investigating, like your
yeah.
nature.
Yay me.
You go, girl.
Yeah. Well, thank you for seeing that in me. And yeah, I also like to hide away. So days off will
Mhm.
be good.
Yeah.
So, like I said, tonight we're going to be discussing ghosts, echoes, and imprints, haunted places, residual energies, and all the stories that linger, that remain. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I used to do a lot of little investigating kind of things. Also, I grew up with a father who really did a lot of that as well. We'd go out to the West Desert. There's like old mining towns. He liked to hit record and do like EVP kind of things,
Mm,
wander around in these old places and just find, you know, items that were left behind or feel the energy. It just was always present. And when I got older, I feeling and seeing energy just, he, you don't have to even be sensitive to know that something just there's a shift in energy that takes place, right? And I feel like let's talk about residual energy first. Like residual energy um is like it's both, I would say, metaphysical, paranormal. There's both.
right.
And statistically speaking, the idea that emotional or even traumatic events may somehow become like imprinted on a location, that's what I mean. If you go to places that are considered haunted, as they would say, or something like that, they're usually revolved around some kind of major event that took place or an emotional experience. Like you think of like historic battlefields. I remember one year my dad took us to Little Bighorn in, I think it's in
Mm,
Montana, and I
yeah.
was young. I was young, but I remember just walking around that place going, "Oh my gosh." Battlefields,
Yeah.
uh hospitals and asylums. Historically, people get freaked out by old abandoned ones, or even, I mean, even the new ones now for me are a little
Yeah.
um, haunted hotels or like theaters
Mm-hmm.
or sacred sites. There's family homes, even traditionally through generations have had energy. And so um, instead of like focusing on the fear so much, I like to like know about the history and the human experience that created that impression. And it just is like, how does this collective memory and emotional history become tied to these locations? And if this place could tell me a story, what would it say? And that's the stuff that I like. Let's eat that up. I love that energy. And I love history. So I want to hear and feel all about it. And where we live in this surrounding areas of Ogden, Utah. And if you know anything about Ogden or have done any research, it has a lot of history here. It's one of the major train hub cities in the West. There was all kinds of people coming in and out of here, all kinds of crime, all kinds of, you know,
Organized crime.
organized crime, murder, all kinds of stuff, underground tunnels up and down the main road. We've got historical 25th Street. We've also got like down a few cities in Kaysville, like Kay's Cross. Like I remember going there as a kid, like a teenager, when we were just kind of getting into trouble. That place is creepy. So they're just like story. We all have them. We all, wherever we live, we have these stories. Maria, who frequents the chat often, she does investigations. She has a place that she goes to often, has many stories to share. Like we all have had these stories and experiences. And whether you believe it or not, there are some things that you just can't explain. And you know, maybe some hauntings are spirits trying to communicate with us, or maybe it's just residual energy that is just like you can feel it like it in the air. Um, but that's what the questions are, right? Do emotions leave lasting energetic footprints? Does energy carry memory? Like, there's so much to this topic, way more than an hour.
Way more.
Wake up, let's talk about it. This is the kind of stuff I really enjoy talking about because we don't have the answers. Just like with spirituality, we don't know. We can come on here on the screen and tell you this is this and that is that, but we don't know. And neither do you. Nobody has the answers to any of this stuff, but that's okay. It's so fun exploring and researching and diving into it and what ifing about it because it's unknown and anything is possible. It's so good.
I can tell you just love this topic. You're just like, oh yeah.
It's a good one. Let me give some time to you. What's your take? First of all, like residual. Let's talk about the residual energy. Um, you're familiar with energy.
Oh yes.
You're familiar with the energy imprints that we live behind,
Hmm.
especially emotional ones.
Right. So when you were talking about emotional imprints to having an emotional situation or life event happen. And I want to bring it to just really a practical thing to put out there. If you have an argument with a loved one or a friend, does it stick with you? Does it stick in your body? Does it stick in your mind? Well, of course, it does. So that is residual energy. That's a very easy to affirm that that happens. So then, of course, why wouldn't that stick in a place or in a room? And one of the things that I've found, the more that I've grown and been around people that do connections with energies different, that as I watch and observe, then I realize that because I don't feel the energy in the same way, I'm not as um, clearing and cleaning in the years gone by as I have discovered needs to happen. I mean, I used to be such a novice at sage. I'd be like, I don't know what to do this sage. I think I filled my house with smoke one time because I'm like, I don't know what to do this. I was felt so awkward with it. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I just got to clear my throat. Let's burn something. So this energy just can move. Can I explain why it does? No, but I can feel it move within my body. And then I understand that I can now, over lots of years and experimenting and practicing, I can feel a space a little bit more, not as deeply as some of those that I know. I do know that my office, because I do a lot of heavy work with people come in with heaviness and leave lighter. So where does that go? If it leaves them and I can see their face is lighter, their countenance, which is kind of their face anyway, but their body is just not weighed down as much. Well, where does that go? And so that's another thing that I would say to demonstrate that energy clings to us as people and to places. There's sad houses. There's that type of thing. I've grown up I grew up in one of the famous landmarks that's around, well known in the Hooper area. I lived in the Canesville schoolhouse, and people would always, it was such an iconic landmark down there, west of where we are, and there were residual energies there. I can tell
Mhm.
you that there was just definite things that I was not as aware then as I used to be. But we used to race up the stairs, turn the light off, race up the stairs. And the upstairs felt safer than the downstairs at night. You
Mhm.
just did it. I don't know what we thought maybe would catch us, but when we were young, we just like turn off the lights and run.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
eh, definitely things. And then when something really uh, violent or like that, it's just big energy. and walls will pick them up, and places will pick them up.
Mm.
And places have memories. We all know if we go to something that's been around for a long time, that it feels different than something new.
Yeah.
It's just different. And that difference is just part of what we're talking about. No, I remember that we did when we were younger, I think it was my brothers that had researched that in the house that we lived in, this old schoolhouse, they at one point housed prisoners of war there. And that's how I found out that prisoners of war were housed within the Ogden area during the war, that we actually had several places where they were imprisoned around here.
Mm.
So just history. It's and sometimes it's hard to track the history because it's not written down,
Right.
or people die with the memory and you don't know. You're like, I wish someone could tell me what happened in this place before now.
Yeah. And I've been to a lot of haunted places purposefully, like the Coronado Hotel in San Diego.
Hmm.
That place has such a history, but I had to go there because I'm like, I have to feel it for myself. And I remember walking through the halls, my son and I, you weren't allowed to go any place unless you had a room there. And we didn't. We had a room across the way. Um, but we kind of like acted like we had a room there. We might have walked down the halls, but it was such a old hotel. I know it was like in the 1800s. Like it's an old hotel. Has a lot of history. There's a lady that has been supposedly seen there many times. Um, I remember her name was uh, Kate, and there was some kind of love story involved. Anyway, she ended up dying at the hotel. I feel like because like her lover never came back or something, like he went off to war and never came back, something like that. I don't remember the details. Anyway, so people have reported seeing her up and down these hallways.
Hmm.
We're walking on the hallways, and because this place is so old, like nothing is straight. Like the the halls would narrow, the doors were different height, like uh the the ground was slanted. They had a lot of the old furniture still there, and like you could touch it. And I don't know if you're familiar with psychometry, where you read the energy in objects. So I'm like always touching things. I want to like feel it. I want to see what it has to say. And that was one of the places that were like you could just feel there was like more than just her, but like just the history alone and all of the experiences with all of the rooms that have taken place in a hotel. Like it's just rich. Just like we had the Ben Lomond Hotel here. It's been turned into apartments. There was another place in when I was attending the UFO, the Ozark conference, the UFO uh, conference in Eureka Springs, the Ozark conference. I went there a couple of times. They have a hotel there called the Crescent Hotel. And if you know anything about haunted history, you know that it's like the most haunted place in Arkansas. And it was like used like as a fake cancer hospital at one time. They have uh they have like really wild stories um about like this morgue being there and doctors doing all kinds of weird things.
Hmm.
And they do haunted history tours there. It was used as like a college. It has a lot of history. And um, upstairs, there's a restaurant. So you can go up at the top and then look down at the grounds. And that alone was really eerie. In fact, I went there with some of you may know Race Hobbs, but yeah, I went there with him and Warren and a group of people one time. And oh my goodness, just like walking up the stairway. So you'd walk up the stairway and it was like square stairway, but you know, you'd gradually go up. But just looking down, like people have fallen and died from that. And I'm looking down and just like getting to the edge, your whole body, like you can feel it on your skin. And it's not just the fear of like, what if I fall? It's just knowing that somebody fell from that place. and didn't make it. It's just like, oh, like stuff like that. And why are we so intrigued? I don't know if it's so much about the death, but just like the energy or the possibility that these things happen and we're standing right on the ground that it happened. Like that's what is also interesting to me is as a human being, like why are we so intrigued with is it haunted? Like what happened here? And why am I so excited about someone dying and just still hanging out? Like why does this excite me? And I think that it does because it's unknown, just like with anything that's unknown to me. Like I get excited just investigating it, just researching it. And even knowing that I'll probably never know the truth, it's still fun because you like learn little pieces, little layers to the story. Right? It's just like watching a movie. You want to know what's next. But it's like in real time and you're living it.
One of the reasons why we might get so excited about it is that life is so regular, mundane. Like it's the same thing, same thing, same thing. When something big happens to stand out of all the rest of the days. And that may be one of those things that said, oh, something happened. And I've had this, I like this language since I went through the couple of retreats or experiences I went through. This language of something happened, like to go where something happened, because there's a lot of life where we're not, something's not necessarily happening,
Mm-hmm.
like significant enough to imprint in our places or in our hearts or mind, because a lot of it is forgettable. A lot of routine life is forgettable, but when something happens, there's a lot of energy involved.
Mm-hmm.
And lots, I mean, I've listened to different stories, and maybe it's urban legends to say there's different energies that show up when something's going to happen, like
Mm-hmm.
precursors, markers, energetic markers, maybe some life forms out there that would eat on the energy, or take that on, capture the energy of when something's happening, because there's a lot of vibration with
Yeah.
those types of things. And I remember there was a couple of things when we started the show that was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. When I was really young, like young teenage, I went on this road trip, and we went into the mountains of Northern California, and there was this mountain, and I swear the mountain was haunted. It felt so eerie, and it wasn't one place. It was the whole that big space there on that mountain that we were like, we cannot stay here. We were bumping into the campground. The car's headlights went out.
Mm-hmm.
That's something when the headlights just go like out. You're just like, oh, and then that creepy crawly skin. It's like, I don't feel safe here to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to find somewhere else to be.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I goose, and I've been to the Winchester Mystery House. I remember going there, and
Oh,
that's it.
yeah, I have been there also. Yeah.
That's that with seances that they say were held there, and the guilt evidently from the gun manufacturer and the loss of life that comes from a gun manufacturer. Talk about residual energy
Mhm.
when that was taken on because of that story and all the myriad of stories that are out there.
Mhm. There are so many.
Hmm.
So I grew up in Salt Lake, and Salt Lake City has this incredible, massive cemetery. Have you ever been?
I worked at the VA hospital for 2 years. So I drove past that cemetery all the time, but I didn't drive in. But I have been to the Logan Cemetery, which is another large old one.
Mm.
And it's fun to walk around in, look at
I
the
have,
old headstones. And
mhm. I love cemeteries. Um, a lot. My favorite cemetery was in Savannah, Georgia, the
Oh.
Bonaventura Cemetery. In fact, part of the movie, um, The Garden of Good and Evil, is that what it is? Some movie was filmed there, and part of it was there, and that's what introduced me to it. But when I was in Louisiana in my nanny job, that is when I fell in love with cemeteries and with haunted history. That is when it all took place. If you haven't been to Louisiana and seen how they do uh grief, how they celebrate death, how they honor their loved ones, it's quite a beautiful thing. Nothing like anything I've ever seen before.
Mm.
And I really, really just grew fond of that kind of, just like that kind of vibe. I don't know. I just thought there was just so much depth to it and so much spirit to it, even in death. It was just such a beautiful thing. When I was in Germany, I walked through several cemeteries. One particular was across from the World War II Tank Museum. So that, just the energy from walking through the museum with all of the old war vehicles and then going across the street to the cemeteries, you guys, when you walk through a place that has so much history, just even if you don't believe, I don't know one person who can not admit that there's just something that feels different, right? Whether it's just the story that lingers on, that they're like, oh, what if, even if they don't believe in that kind of thing, or if they can actually feel the energy, or if they're intrigued by the history, whatever it is, there's something going on. And it's been tested in so many ways, like spiritually, metaphysically, scientifically. People want to know, like, I mean, we could talk about the veil, like the thinning of the veil and all of that that comes through, but there's something going on there that we can't deny. We just don't have the answer. There's paranormal perspective, there's metaphysical perspective. From a paranormal perspective, I mean, spirits remain after physical death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And intelligent communication and visitation experiences are happening. People are communicating with the other side, and it's validated. It's validated,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, really amazing. And then through the metaphysical perspective, you have like the residual energy we brought up, like recordings in consciousness, I would say, or as like we have an awareness, and there's like this overlap. There's like this thing that's going on. Um, just like how we can see apparitions, or we can feel the energy if something was moving by us or through us. Even the air changes, the energy shifts. Like it's not just like, oh, I have a feeling. Like people get physical symptoms
Mm-hmm.
like headaches and nausea and tingles, and some people will just start crying. There's just so many things that can take place. And then when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, energy remains attached to places and people. And then you put like thought and prayer and intention and blessings into these spaces. So then you're putting your energy into it. So when the next person comes along, they're also going to feel all of that. It's just like the curiosity. I'm so curious. I want to know all the answers. That's just who I am. But it's just like so many possibilities and so many what ifs. Um, I think he's writing more, but we'll get going. The closest experience I've had was a dream as a teen. I walked into our living room to see my mom standing there. Light was shining through the windows, made me think of a nice summer day. I believe that there's more coming. There it is. I see my mother standing in the living room with her arms open for a hug. As I walk up to her, she tells me she is dying, and I embrace her, saying, "That's not true." I bet there's more coming. I should have waited. I love it when our listeners pitch in. Tell us your stories. If you want to jump in, I'll even send you a link.
It's true.
I want to hear all the stories. I want to hear all the stories.
Not everything is a negative haunting. Think about the
Yeah.
places where there are healing waters and you walk in and there's such a sense of love
Mm.
and just amazing. The energy just feels amazing and people get drawn to that, or pilgrimages or places where people go and give such good energy to it. Different temples, different buildings that are around that hold that level of energy too that people go to. We don't think about them as quite the same way, but it is the same thing.
Yeah. It is the same thing. And when you even consider like objects, how much energy and love and adoration we put into objects, and then we move on or we send that object off either way if it gets passed around. I mean, people can feel that. Like this item was loved or this item feels a little heavy.
We talk about the desk that I first got for my office.
Natalie picked up a haunted desk for real.
Did have a haunted desk. It was to watch the energy sensitives around that desk. I had to just
I'm like, I don't want to be in your office.
have it changed. Yeah, we got rid of that desk,
Yeah.
and I found one that's not. But that was really fascinating because I thought, well, this is just a good old antique desk. I've had a different vibe on antiques, especially after that, but deepened my awareness that not every object is a great one to have around.
No, no, absolutely not.
Careful walking in antique stores.
And I adore antiques,
Yeah,
but I also love feeling energy. So I'm like, just give me all of it. I just want to feel it all.
right.
But also, like, not even objects. Think about, can love leave an imprint?
Well, of
Can
course.
grief linger? Like emotional energies.
Oh yeah. Well, I hear lots of stories, and since I do suicide loss groups, um, I often hear stories of how people die. When they die by suicide, they die in a place, and
Mm,
it's got to leave some energy there. But this is a positive one. I remember one woman whose husband died way back in their backyard. They had big property, and
mhm.
she said she went there and there was a profound sense of peace that
Mm.
she felt.
Here I am, like haunted places, and Natalie's like, peace and happiness.
I know. It's-
Let's focus on the good energy. And I'm like, let's talk about the haunted stuff.
well, I do have different experiences about haunted, but not as much as you. Um, but that comes to mind because I put it out there because it's
Mhm.
haunted either way.
Yeah, and I think the word in it of itself is like more negative.
Sure.
I'll take it more negatively, but I don't. Like, I think it's exciting actually. And I don't think any experience is bad. I think everything is experience.
Right.
It just is. And so I look at things a little bit different. Now that Genghis has completed his story, I feel like we ought to start over because we
Yeah.
okay, so here you guys go. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, but it's worth sharing. I see my mother standing in the living room with her arms open for a hug. As I walk up to her, she tells me she is dying. Oh, this is the second part. Anyway, he had a dream. I embrace her, saying, that's not true. Woke up to hear paramedics entering the house and takes her to the hospital. My pops didn't think it was extreme and asked me to stay at the house. And then she passed away from complications from a brain aneurysm. And my dad and sisters were there with her at the hospital. I took it as my mom's way of saying goodbye.
Hmm.
Since then, I've worked in many places that others would think would be haunted, and have yet to experience anything I would consider otherworldly. Thank you for sharing, Genghis. I believe, I mean, that's an imprint, right? I believe that that is those things happen more than a lot of people will ever even admit, because there's a level of, because we don't talk about these things very often, or just like in smaller circles or groups, that when these things take place, that us sharing them may make us look a certain way, like maybe we've lost our marbles. And I've had that experience many times when I've shared experiences that I've had in haunted locations. People are like, there's no way that's true. But I know I'm not crazy. Like, I was there, I know what happened. And I can see why a lot of people would shut down from the experience of sharing, just like with anything else in life, right? When it uh, puts you in a place of vulnerability, you open yourself up to judgment. But there's so many things that we have experienced, every one of us have an experience in, or have an experience of. There's no way we could deny the truth of it, even though we cannot explain how it happened.
I had a I have a picture from that was taken at the end of a road in St. Thomas, no, St. John in the Virgin Islands. And we went out to where the highway ended, and there was this really old, big, really big tree, but it looked like it had a face in it with the way the trunk and the bark was shaped. It looked like there was a face. And we took like 3 pictures, and in the middle picture there are ghostly faces that look like pirates.
Ooh.
And that's not what we saw, but it was on the film. And every time you just look at it, it's like they're there. It's we didn't put that there. And the more sensitive friend that was with, she's like, I didn't like it there. I needed to go.
Mhm,
She's like, I wanted to leave that place because it didn't feel good.
mhm,
And that's definitely a sign of like in the pit of your stomach, or that that just knowing that, well, not that well, who knows what happens to you, because people can get attachments and people can pick up things. And then there's some people that don't pick up things but have an experience when they go somewhere. So they're all so different, and everybody's experience about different places can be so different.
mhm,
Even in my house, I've had my house for a long time, and so I know all the nooks and crannies. But I know that I've probably left a lot of residuals in that house throughout the years, and only I know all the history that's that's there.
mhm.
Each one of us put that in our house.
Absolutely. Like, what do we leave behind?
Yeah.
What energy are we leaving in our homes? Whether we live there for a moment or a lifetime, someone else comes in, most more than likely, and it's going to feel that energy. Especially when they inhabit the space, they're going to have experiences. And
Hmm.
then when your life comes to an end in that space, like, do you feel like we kind of linger in the places that we loved or made a lot of memories in? I mean, people believe that. That's how these ghosts come about, in different places where our heart was broken, or we learned to love, or where we shared the most memories. And I always talk to my house. I say hello to my house when I come home. I say goodbye when I leave. I thank my house. I believe that everything is a living energy, and so I do communicate with every day. Like, when I wrap myself in my blankie, I'm like, "Oh, thanks, blankie." Like, I'm one of those weirdos, okay? But I just believe that everything has energy, whether it has intelligence or not is beside the point. Um, but the energy that you leave in the spaces, um, like, what does that look like for you? And what kind of energy do you want to leave in the places that you occupy, whether that be at home or at work or at events after you leave? Like when you leave, do people go, "Ah, I wish they could have stayed longer. They had such good energy," or, "Oh, I'm so glad that they left. They were killing the vibe." Like I think about that stuff often.
Oh yes, it's fair to think about that aspect of it, and what are you putting out there into the world?
Yeah, it's all energy, you guys. And so we talk about like the ghosts and the echoes, like what are you leaving behind? But it's also the imprint that you leave, whether it's ghosts or spirits or something we just don't have an understanding of. There's always a deeper question, right?
Mm-hmm.
If our experiences can leave an imprint on the world around us, what kind of imprint are we creating? What are we leaving? And in those experiences, like when you like I was talking about these haunted hotels, some really horrible experiences happen there. And when we're living our life, we don't think about that when we're in the thick of some of the heavier stuff, or
Yeah.
the possibility, like, there are people who leave this human experience tragically. And just even driving down roads, like you'll see crosses on the side of roads, that someone had their life had ended in that same space. But just like if you would have drove through it without knowing that, or knowing that, like it's just there's a story everywhere, and everything has a story.
Sometimes I think I pick up residuals on roads driving, because there's times um, where I'll have the impression of an accident
Mm,
or have see it in my mind. And sometimes I lay that over me, like maybe it's me gonna have it, but I've come to the understanding that's like perhaps that's just feeling what happened in that intersection or along the road,
mhm,
just picking up the psychic imprints that are there.
mm, yeah. Do you have like one experience that just comes to mind every time like a topic like this comes up, that um, just kind of has stayed with you, that has either impacted you, or something that's been really hard to forget, or like the most unexplainable experience you've ever had?
Well, there's several, but I'll think. Um, so at the Kingsville, at the old schoolhouse where we lived, um,
Could you imagine living in a schoolhouse, you guys? Oh my goodness.
it was a 3-story. There was an outdoor bathroom where the urinals were still there that served the school, and we only had one functional bathroom, so that was a lot for the large family that I was in. But there was a toilet that was out in this place we called the dungeon, so it was cement, and the urinals did not work, but we had this functional toilet, and there was a coal chute area, so that house was full of all different kinds of things. But I was with a friend, and and she froze looking at towards the open, it was night time, to towards the open door of this place called the dungeon. So the light was on in there, the door was open, and I was looking away from it, but she was frozen at what it was that she was seeing. And when I turned around, there was a piece of insulation hanging, but what she said she saw was a person hanging. And so that was a profound, the fear, the reality, that was what, and it was also a demonstration of how some people can see the energy markers or
Mhm,
the spiritual person or the residual energy, and some of us can't see it, but
mm,
I could feel that what she could was seeing was real to her,
mm,
and not like she was just having some it. So that was one of them that sticks out, but I can still remember the feeling that I would get in the basement at night, and how so often the nighttime, when the light goes out, the sun's light goes off, that there's just spaces for those darker energies to come more alive without the sunlight. And that feeling that was in that basement was just not positive.
Mm.
Even though if I don't know that it was necessarily horrible things happened there. It's hard to know. We didn't know all of the history. But through my work with grief and getting more of an affinity and less of a fear around death, realizing death is just a part of life, then it doesn't feel, it feels, it changed. And that's probably what you experience,
Mm.
is that death doesn't, it's a part of what happens. It's a transit, it's a doorway, it's a movement from here to there. And so when you look at death that way, the ghosts or the apparitions, they they feel sad or lonely or lost.
Mhm.
But there's some that are not nice also. But
Yeah, I feel like when people leave with unfinished business, right? I mean, whether they're angry or sad, that seems to be a common theme with the history. Is there some kind of big emotional event that took place
yeah,
that made it so? And so they're just kind of lost souls, if you will.
yeah,
And, from my understanding, some of us just don't know how to cross over completely, or we just have unfinished business.
yeah.
And so a part of us remains. And, that's up for debate as well.
Well, I've heard lots of different stories about people that stay in spaces because it was their space. Like
Mhm.
mm, men or women that have lived their most of their life in a particular house or home, and they consider it theirs. And anyone else is like, you can just get along because this is my space. And maybe because there's no time, so I don't even know what it would be like from the frame of reference of a ghost, as they would call it, that would say, this is mine and nobody else can occupy this space.
Mhm.
And being able to move things in a house. I've heard stories of things falling off or being thrown from a refrigerator, or door slamming, or things moving across the room,
Yes, I've
poltergeist
had
energy.
that happen.
Have you had that happen? Tell
Well,
us.
in the home that I own now, I'm sure I told you about this, but we often hear footsteps. So when I'm downstairs by myself, I hear footsteps upstairs all the time. That doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really feel bad. It just feels like someone's hanging out. What freaked me out in the beginning is that all of our cupboards were open. Like we woke
Oh,
up the next day and all of the cupboards were open.
wow.
That was kind of eerie. That was kind of freaky. Like that did not feel good at all. But also I did the Spirit Box app
Oh,
when we first moved in because things were happening. Our TV would turn on and it was just really randomly, like you'd walk in a room and it was not on, and then it would turn on when you were walking in the room.
mm,
And it happened several occasions, more, I don't even know, several. There were a lot of occasions that it happened. And so I'm like, I'm curious. And I'm not one to like get out the Ouija board, even though I just believe it's like a communication tool. I don't put a lot of inventory into it like some people do. I still just didn't want to do that. But I'm like, oh, I'm following this guy we actually interviewed on Soul Wanderings, and he created this app. It's a spirit box where you could like communicate. So I turn it on and it does that weird noise, right? And then every once in a while you'll hear a word. And I
mm.
know some words are programmed probably to just put in there, but this was so specific. So I'm just getting ready in the morning. I'm just like, I'm just gonna turn this on and see if anything interesting comes through. So it's like going on, and I'm just like, if anyone's here with me, say hello. And I got hello like a minute later. And I'm like, that's probably programmed. Not going to put a lot of inventory into that. And I keep moving on. And then it goes, hi, are you not going to respond to me? Or something like that along those lines. And I was like, I didn't think it was real, so I didn't respond. And I was like, "Oh, hello. Who am I talking with?" And I literally got the name. It said Bruce. And I was like, "Okay, Bruce, are you the one turning on and off the TV?" And then the word said screen, or the voice box said screen. And I was like, "Oh, oh my gosh." I turned it off so fast. I was like, "I do not know what is communicating with me, but that did not feel good." And then, of course, I start getting out all my stuff. I'm clearing this house. I am clearing this house. And I had already done that when before we moved any of our stuff in, but yeah, um, I asked Bruce, like, "Bruce, this is my house now, so you can't hang out here anymore. You've got to go on your way." And I'm not one to be like, "Go to the light." I don't do that. Um, but find another place to hang out because this isn't going to work for both of us. But there have been many instances since then that have just been like, okay, that was kind of creepy. Like things move. Like I don't see them move, but like can't find my keys anywhere. Looked in
Mm.
all the places, and then even like right in front, like right where you can see, you like no keys are on the counter, and you come back in and the keys are on the counter. Stuff like that. Like, are the fairies messing with me, or is there a residual energy, or like what?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing, Casey. He said he went on a waterfall hike up behind Weber State. Has a dark history. He went there last week and the energy was wild. There's a lot of history around here. It's crazy. Um, I don't want to say it's creepy, but it can be.
Can
But it's
be.
also the energy that you're putting into it, right? You can feed it, definitely. And also there's just energy you can't explain. So then just the unknowing alone is like, ooh.
Oh, it's so very true. And then sometimes it just weaves into um the living space. I mean, we didn't run screaming from the house when we all lived there. And on top of that, we had bats in our upper attic space, so you could watch the bats flying out at night. There was a lot of different. Sometimes the piano would play in the basement. Those talk about like noises and things and it's like maybe it's the cats walking on the piano. Maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe it isn't. I
But
sometimes hear noises in my own house. I just take it in stride. But I haven't had, oh, I've been around evil where the feel of evil
mm,
that's in the pit of the stomach. I wouldn't want to be around that. I wouldn't want to be around a place where some evil things happened.
yeah.
That leaves a dark, dark, dark energy that's around and there's choices that we can make as the living to understand and follow that intuition of whether to be there or not. And then when we go to sleep, so there's a lot of people that will go. There's haunted tourism. People want to go and sleep where there's a haunting going on with the possibility. And I've heard stories about people going to haunted places or being in their own places, waking up to see people at the end of the bed or dark, dark visions. At one point, I was actually in my front yard. I don't know that this was a haunting or what it was, but I saw this man from my peripheral, like a hat, which is not a normal, like what they would wear, decades ago, where men wore hats. And it was like full size person there. That's the only time I've seen something like that.
Mm,
I don't know what it was. It's just like, oh, but I saw it. Wasn't
yeah.
my imagination.
Right. And see, there's just some things we're not going to be able to explain. And
No.
and we trust ourselves enough to know that yes, I did have this experience. Um, I just think that every place is a keeper of stories. And
Oh,
some
yeah.
are spoken, some are forgotten, and some of them just continue to linger on for however they linger on.
They do.
And I think that's pretty neat. And it just goes to show you, like, whatever you're experiencing in your life and the energy you're carrying with you, like, it's infinite. It goes on and on and on, even after you've been removed from that space or that experience.
It's true. I was just thinking about, let's talk for a minute about pets. How pets
Ooh.
inhabit my bird that died last year. I will still hear her flapping, and then there's been people that talk about the tick 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 of dog snails
Mm,
walking through a house. Um, how the sometimes you can feel them jump up on the bed. I've had that happen in my life.
yeah,
Feel
me
the dogs on the bed, um, the weight of them, like maybe pressure against the leg if your dog would come and lean on you. Um, would those different types of experiences that are undeniable in a way. It's like our pets linger on, our animals can continue to be those present. I worked with a pet medium one time, and she said it's hard to tell if a pet is alive or dead because they're for them it's not really a big shift.
mm. Yeah, because they're higher frequency
Yeah, they just don't have
being.
this dense head of ours. It's just
Mhm.
thinking apparatus.
Uh, Us humans, man. Can
So
we complicate things some more?
probably.
Let's hope
Wait
not.
for it. It's
Have
gonna
we done
happen.
Yeah, have we done enough? Have we done enough? If you all have not already voted, make sure you guys do for next week's show. The options are, if you just type the number, that's when the vote goes in. If you are listening to the replay, you can type it in the comments or on one of our socials. But the choices for next week are when your spirit outgrows your life, or I had to abbreviate this one because there wasn't enough room. Living authentically in a filtered world. So far, that one's in the lead. So, choices. Choices. We love choices. But
Okay.
also, if you guys have another topic that you would like us to discuss, or even, have your 2 cents in, you can email us at connect@soulwanderings.com. And we reply to all of our emails. We get a lot of great uh, messages. So thanks to those of you who have reached out and shared over the years. It's been so lovely to have you part of the wandering tribe, the wanderers. Do you have any final last words before we wrap up for this evening, Miss Natalie?
Oh, there's so much we could. I just have memories and memories and memories of different times. I don't even think about it all the time, but during the show, I was like, oh my goodness, that's right. There was that, and the other thing. Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation. It's really fun to have a show go like this and listening to your stories. It's good.
I have a lot of stories, but campfire stuff, you guys.
Oh, yeah. There's even that brings up other memories. Oh, I had this one experience one time when we were young girls and we were doing uh like what is that stiff as a board or whatever the
Light as a
group.
feather, stiff as a board.
Yes, that was creepy too. That was another thing of bringing in residual energy,
We
talking
did
about
that
that. It's like,
all the
oh,
time.
yep, all the memories.
Yeah, there's so many memories, and that beautiful. If nothing else, we have great stories, right?
Right,
So continue to share your stories. That's what this show is all about, is connecting us to each other through our shared experiences, through our stories. So um continue to do that, because it connects us to ourselves and
right.
to each other, just like my show says. from the beginning.
Right.
Genghis, we should make it happen. Let's plan a retreat. In fact, one day I'll be moving to the middle of nowhere in the middle of the country, and I will have a little retreat space. So that is the plan. Will bring us all together in connection and all of that good stuff. So be careful what you wish for.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, so do I. It will be a good time. Thanks everyone for being here with us tonight. We're so grateful for your time. We know how valuable it is and for your energy shared with us. Be safe out there. Be good to yourselves and to each other.
Have a good one.
We'll talk to you guys later. Good night.